Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery out here on a beautiful mid-November day. Perfect day to introduce to you the new Mathews 2021 flagship hunting bows. What you're looking at here are the V3 bows. Kind of built in line with last year's super popular VXR. This year we have the V3, and what you're looking at is the V331 and the V327. Mathews went shorter this year on that short bow. That's going to be great for those eastern tree stand whitetail hunters. You're going to like that. That's a nice compact package. The VXR was super popular for Mathews. It won a bunch of awards. They sold a ton of them. So they kept a lot of things the same with the V3 version, but they also changed some things. First up, we got to tell you right out of the gate that you're going to notice this Centerguard Cable Containment system. You see that angled down. What it's doing is putting the cable rollers exactly in the middle of the bow. Mathews says that's great for cam timing. That's optimum because when it's up a little higher, then the pressure isn't the same on each cam. So by putting it in the middle, the pressures are the same. You can optimize your cam timing. And also it pulls the cables away from the center of the bow, right where your fletchings are going to be. So fletching clearance puts it right there where you need the most clearance possible. Again, as we mentioned, a lot of things similar to the VXRs. We're going to run through all the new features and similar features, but first up, let's look at the specs of each of these bows. The Mathews V327 is going to measure 27 inches axle to axle. It's going to have a brace height of 6 inches, IBO speed rating up to 336 feet per second. It's going to be available in peak draw weights of 60, 65, 70, and 75 pounds. Draw length offerings, it's going to be on a mod-based system from 25 to 29.5 inches. Let off, you're going to have options of either 80 or 85%, and the physical weight of this bow is 4.29 pounds. The Mathews V331 is a 31-inch axle-to-axle bow. Brace height is 6 inches. IBO speed rating up to 342 feet per second. It's going to be available in draw weights of 60, 65, 70, and 75 pounds. Draw lengths on that mod system is going to be from 26 to 30.5 inches. Your let-off options are 80 or 85%, and the physical weight of this bow is 4.5 pounds. All right, so except for the axle-to-axle differences, the basic construction of these bows is the same, so we're going to run through it. I'm holding the V331 here. We'll take a look at that, what Mathews did. And again, as we mentioned, you've got the Centerguard Cable Containment system. We told you about that. The other thing you're going to notice here is that the axle is basically just about past parallel on these limbs. And when I come to full draw, it's really going past parallel. So Mathews did that as part of redesigning the new limbs. This is a new limb they have. It's a little thinner through the middle here than the VXR. They also redesigned the limb pocket. It's a little shorter than it was last year, which allowed them to save some of the weight. Again, this bow weighs a little bit less than the 31.5 VXR, so they were able to save some weight. But one thing you'll notice is this bow, if you were to hold it up to the VXR 31.5, the riser is exactly the same length. So right now with these two bows, Mathews came out with their highest riser length to axle ratio. It's the greatest they've ever had it. They have a big riser, and the axle to axle about matches. It's almost 1 for 1. The axle to axle is a little bit longer than the riser, but it's close. So what they do that for is stability. This big riser is just super stable to hold at full draw. These limbs flex just a little bit. They only flex like from about here back is what flexes when you come through the draw. So they minimize the movement, which allows them to increase the efficiency of this bow. So just a great system they've got there. Of course, they continued with the Silent Connect system that you can see in here. This is where you would hook your rope to haul it up to your tree stand, or they also have a sling that you can connect. There's one on the top and there's one on the bottom. That's the SCS system. It's got the cross-centric cam, same cam that they've been using for a couple years. It's just a big, powerful, efficient cam. As we mentioned, it is mod-based for your draw length, so it's going to be in 1/2-inch increments, different mods. This cam does employ the switch weight system. So that means when you want to change draw weight, let's say you have the 50-pound max bow, you can go to the 60-pound max bow just by changing the mods. You know, in the old days, you would have had to change limbs to go up 10 pounds. But with this, all you got to do is change the mods. The mods are what control your draw weight. And then of course, you still have your limb bolt. If you have the 60-pound max version, that's a 50 to 60, and you can control that adjustment with your limb bolt as always. So the riser, as we mentioned, is the same length, but it is built a little bit different. If you were to look at the two risers, there's different bridging in here just to create some more stability within the riser. Coming down the bow, it does have the integrate dovetail. That's going to be a dovetail mount here on the back side of the grip for your integrate rest. QAD makes an integrate rest. It does not use the burger button hole to connect. It is connected right to the back of the riser. When you clamp that thing on, it just doesn't move. Super solid there. So down the bottom here, as Mathews changes their risers, the 3D damping changes as well, the requirements. So they have a brand new 3D damper down here that is designed specifically for these risers. Basically, it's a little bit smaller, sticks out a little farther in front. That's the differences. You know, shooting these bows, it's just like in the past. There's no hand shock. You don't feel any vibration. That's typical of Mathews. We should also mention here that it's going to come standard with the Engage grip. This has a rubbery, textured feel to it. So it's great, especially for bow hunters in cold weather. That's a nice, comfortable grip to get hold of. But if you decide that you don't like the Engage grip, you can take it off, and then you can put the side plates on to where your hand is just sitting on the back of the riser. It is machined so that that's comfortable. It's not an unmachined riser there. So you have that option that you can go between. Stabilizer bushings, you're going to have one up front for your front rod and then a mount in the back for your side rod. These are those beefy stabilizer bushings that Mathews came out with a couple years ago, just to improve that connection between your stabilizer and the bow. With that big bushing in there, it just makes it nice and solid, so it's going to minimize vibration there. So for shooting these bows, this past year I was shooting the VXR 31.5, and what I would say is that the 31, the V331, feels very similar to that in terms of holding and aiming. The draw cycle is a little bit different. With the VXR 31.5, there's just a little bit of aggression at the back end before the cam rolls over. That's a smoother hump I noticed with the V3 here. I don't know if that's from the limbs flexing, the way they flex there. We'll show you when we're shooting it. You can see those limbs really flex down, but it's just a hair smoother than the VXR. Still spits them out there super fast. The 27 is a real maneuverable bow. Me personally, I prefer a little bit longer axle to axle bow, but the 27 shot nice. And what I can tell you is it does not shoot like a 27-inch axle to axle bow. That super long riser there really helps it feel rigid and stable in your hand, and it doesn't feel as short as that 27 inches. Like I said, those eastern tree stand whitetail hunters, you're gonna love that bow because it is nice and short and compact. Maybe some of you western hunters, you might like that 27 platform as well. You want to be maneuverable going around the brush. That could be a good one for you. You're climbing mountains, something like that. I know Lee Lakoski, he really likes that 27, 28-inch axle-to-axle bow for his western hunting. So don't discount that as a western bow, but the sweet spot for that bow is definitely the eastern whitetail hunters in the tree stand. The main thing I've really noticed this year and now with the V3 is that with these super long risers, these things aim incredibly. When you come onto target with your pin, it just sits there really nice. There's not much, you know, minimal movements of your hand don't translate to big movements in the bow. It sits nice and steady for you, which is something that I appreciate. So real great aiming bows the last 2 years. All right, so that is the brand new 2021 Mathews V331 and 27. Great new flagship hunting bows from Mathews. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. As always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.